Good morning. Hope everyone has a good, if you are traveling from outside Mumbai, good trip. And you will learn in this panel about India's AI growth and trajectory and the demand and supply and challenges and all kind of things. I'll take 1 minute to explain, AI demand as a global view, and then we'll focus on India. So in last 2 years, AI, everybody realized that AI is coming and and changing the game. When machines and technology started mimicking the human behavior, and adoption has increased. We can see the OpenAI. I'm sure everybody is using ChatGPT and all kind of AI applications and see the impact of the AI in our life. Um, as founder of RagBank, I'll give you my background. That I'm Narendra Singh, founder of RagBank. We started long back doing managed services and enterprise services, and now we are focusing more on AI side. And we have a fantastic panel here, industry veterans, people whom I know from last many years, more than a decade or so, and they are going to bring the value to this panel. So I would like to ask everyone to introduce themselves, and then I'll start questions.
Thank you, Narendra, and good morning, everybody. I think it's great to be always in Mumbai on the DCD, show, and this platform basically brings all the ecosystem together, which is a huge blended opportunity to engage. Myself, Surajit Chatterjee, I am the Managing Director of Capital and Investment Data Center Group in India. We are predominantly a global real estate development, asset development manager, fund, and a service provider together. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. And always a pleasure to be a part of W.Media Forum, especially this event, which is one of the largest annual event. I've been doing this for many years now. My name is Vipin Shirsat. I'm the Managing Director for Princeton Digital Group India. PDG is a pan-Asia data center operator. We are present across 6 countries, and we build standardized, scalable, and sustainable data centers across Asia. And look forward to a very, very healthy discussion with my fellow panelists today. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. It's always great to be in events like this, and it's my privilege actually to be in the company of this accomplished, extraordinary league of the gentlemen who have grown the data center capacities in the leaps and bounds. So probably setting $10 billion of investment on the table right now. so looking forward to this collaborative work and discussion with them. My name is Sharad Agarwal. I am CEO of SIFI Infinite Spaces. SIFI is one of the first data center companies of India. We were the one to launch India's first data center in September 2000 in Vashi. And ever since, we are continuously growing it. So when it comes to doing a sustainable business and a sustainable business, that's the hallmark of SIFI, that the organization that is continuing to grow with the growth.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, W.Media, for being on with the esteemed panel. This has been a cloud and data center convention, and what a day when we are starting with the topic of AI. Hopefully, the next convention it will be AI and data centers. That's how we look forward to. I am Sujit Deshpande, co-founder and CEO of India for Lumina Cloud Infra. It's a Blackstone-funded venture in India. We are trying to develop capacities for hyperscalers, for AI initiatives, which will be typically serving the Indian market space and beyond. I'm very happy to be here, and with all these esteemed panelists, we'd like to put in more insights into what is happening in the India market and how this is going to change the days coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like US, we have seen in the last 2 years, all Big Four has put in more than hundreds of $billions to buy the chips and put it in the US data centers, and their demand is like what I know from my understanding with talking with one of the large customer, they are trying to build 30 gigawatt. They have a plan to build 30 gigawatt globally, out of that 20 gigawatt is only for AI. Now imagine the growth. And one startup like OpenAI or Anthropic required more than 2 gigawatt of capacity. So the demand is coming huge. We call it AI tsunami, and definitely what are the capacity we have available or upcoming, it will be consumed in coming years. That's we hope. But India's technology adoption and policy support and all those things, I think, put together, definitely we believe that within 10 years, India will have 10 gigawatt of demand, including general purpose and the AI. General purpose is organically growing with the speed, but the AI is going to surpass that and change the game. So I'll start because this is a huge demand coming. So what are the challenges do you see in infrastructure side? What we have to make ourselves ready to supply and ready for the supply. So I'll start with Vipin and Surjit can add and Sujit can add on this.
Thanks, Narendra. And it just sounds music to us when we talk about tens of gigawatt, given that the entire country today is around a gigawatt. But the question is how to brace for these, right? So today, when I think about the challenges, there are three. One that is external to the industry, one that is internal to the industry, and one that I feel is adjacent to the industry. The external one, and probably the biggest challenge, is power. We all need power. We all need sustainable power. We all need round-the-clock sustainable power. We need robust transmission lines to get power wherever we want. And the reason why I say that this is external to the industry is that this is where the utility and administration support comes into play. Till now, I would say that we have sustained with whatever the administration has supported us. But going forward, that is going to be a key challenge because the industry is growing at a massive rate, and we need to make sure that the support power infra is going to be available. Also, what matters is the time that it takes to connect and to get the kind of power that you require. So this will reflect in many ways. Obviously, the entire power infra would improve. Probably people will start moving outside of the cities, going closer to the power supplies. But I think as an industry, we will start shadowing power or start shadowing energy as an industry. The internal challenge is probably the easier challenge to solve. This, I believe, is a challenge with talent. When the industry grows at such a fast rate, everyone wants experienced people to build their data centers, to operate the data centers. And I think that's where we as an industry should come together and try and develop talent from various resources, maybe from adjacent industries, maybe freshers from colleges. We at PDG have got very strong campus relationships across leading campuses in the country. This includes institutes like IIT Bombay, VJTI, IIM Bangalore, IIM Lucknow, and so on. But this, I believe, is potentially a solvable challenge. The third one is something that sits adjacent. And, we all have been during COVID phases where getting a power transformer or getting a chiller was a 10-month, 12-month, or 15-month affair. I think there is going to be a different demand curve that's coming in, and that would result into a similar timeline for getting infra equipments. I think India as an industry has done pretty well because of the local manufacturing setup. There is some dependency on the global supply chain, but given that the demand is going to increase everywhere, like Naren said, 30 gigawatts across US, maybe more across Europe and Asia put together, the challenge would be to figure out how do you solve for this entire supply chain and make sure that the capital equipments are available as and when required. So those are the three challenges, Naren, that I feel, and happy to hear from colleagues as well.
Thank you. And I think Vipin touched very, very relevant. I was in some of the discussion with few folks, and they said, and to Sujit's point, that the next cloud convention should be called AI and digital infrastructure. I think from the word data center to word digital infrastructure is the journey where we are into. To what Vipin said, I think these are very, very clearly laid down requirements what the industry is looking at. Land and power. I think pre-COVID to post-COVID, when we see the capacity built up what India has seen, is predominantly because of the kind of surge we have seen this industry is going through. Now with AI coming and the kind of gigawatts, I think collectively industry, government, policy framework, everybody has to be thinking towards that how we can be ready. We are well poised to become the data center hub of APAC. I think we have all infrastructure in place. We just have to ensure that these ingredients are well taken care of in terms of right on time, ensuring that we are planning at least 3 to 4 years ahead of what is coming to us and we'll be able to see and surplus. I think among the 3 points, what very critical Vipin said, I think talent I would pick up is very becoming very critical. I think various initiatives are being taken not only by service providers but also by the government to ensure that the talent, skill set and the pool is constantly developed. So much of technology evolution is happening, so much of adoption is needed. I think constant, upliftment of the talent is very key to ensure that, we are constantly able to deliver. The market is changing very fast. I think the end users demand is scaling up very aggressively. As a service provider community, I think we have to be ready. So when we start today, and I'm sure my colleagues will agree, when we start thinking of building a data center today, we think of a product which will get delivered after 2 years of time. So when we draw on the board today, we design something which is for the future. Keeping that as a tradition, I think how the entire ecosystem, the OEM community, the entire vendor partners, all have to move together to being a very meaningful journey towards the march of AI, what I see. Thank you.
Sujit and Sharad can focus on the challenges as well as the density goes into the AI. So you can highlight.
No, absolutely. So I think the last decade, all panelists who have been and other players in the market, everyone was designing and developing infrastructure which was getting consumed for cloud as an infrastructure. So we used to call is like everybody used to call that our data centers are cloud ready. Eventually, the word AI is coming in. A lot of new learnings has to go through. Everybody will start calling it as an AI ready. AI ready is in a format of being able to capable of delivering an artificial and intelligence kind of workloads through your data centers. And this is not that simple as we think. It is not just because the kind of automation, the level of automation, which even as a service provider, one will have to build in order to measure, monitor, and give a service is going to change rapidly and is changing drastically. Typically today in India, there is a hardly very limited data centers where the AI workloads are getting tried, tested. What is going to come as a fundamental tsunami, which is going to be mostly the machine learning workloads, which are going to be kind of a city agnostic, can go to hinterland, can go to any places as long as the connectivity and power is available. That is also going to change and bring challenges in terms of how do you get a talent into those locations, how do you make sure that the infrastructure development there happens at a much faster pace than what, luckily for Mumbai, cities like Mumbai, Chennai, which has been the data center core centers, you had both infrastructure available, the rest of the ecosystem available. I see going forward, this is going to be another very critical challenge. How do you get an overall ecosystem when data center campuses and parks are going to get developed into a little bit of a hinterland than the center of kind of a Navi Mumbai or Chennai kind of a location.
Sharad.
Yeah. So I like the way Vipin categorized these challenges, put in these buckets: external, internal, and adjacent. I'll just add to external and adjacent. The external challenges around the power will have the solutions that will require the strong policy support, and therefore there are challenges on the policy front. As we go and as a community, everyone sitting in this room, in our OEM community also, when we go and start finding the innovative solutions to power delivery or power generation, could be adjacent power generation. At that time, the biggest challenge, and continue to be the challenge, is that how the policy support is keeping pace with that. Can we go and today set up something like in a nuclear power adjacent? Is the policy support there for? 10 years back, we were looking for a different kind of a policy support, which was adding to the design of the efficient data center. We were fighting for the parking issues. Next, we need to look into the issues related with this, that where we could really go and bring the power to the facility. So whether the policy dynamics is there, kind of motion that is, and the pace required for policy is there. So that is a challenging piece right now. I think that requires the support. And then the second one that I will add to is adjacent to the industry point, where this community is sitting here. They also need to be aware of the fact that our customer is very demanding. And meeting that customer's demand also requires this group of people also to be super demanding. And that's where, if this ecosystem is able to meet that kind of a demanding customer's demand and can up-level their game in innovation and delivery and quality, that will ultimately help the industry. So I see that also as a challenge of quality, workmanship, delivery, innovation that has to come from this ecosystem. That's another challenge that we need to all solve together.
Sure, and Sharad, when you reminded me of the parking issue, I couldn't help but feel nostalgic. I think we've come a long way in the last 5-10 years. I mean, as a question, the way it came, we always are looking forward, but I think we should also take a moment to acknowledge how the policies have helped us, or how our entire ecosystem has helped us in the last 5 to 10 years, and I think we've really come a long way, guys. So, we all deserve a round of applause, including you guys.
Now, of course, it's all about putting the bar higher. So I'm not criticizing anyone.
No, I'm not. I just feel nostalgic about it.
And I think just to add on that, I think government's initiative step in terms of drafting the policies towards the data center. We see a lot of global investors, global platforms. Swedish Rippens being one of them, who have chosen this country to enter with a larger pool of capital investment. Obviously, they see that support on the ground. But I think, rightly mentioned by Sharad and Vipin, I think we have done with the parking issues. Now I think the time is to move ahead. I think that's where as the entire ecosystem has to move to look at the next set of challenges and how do we address that.
So, thank you. So initially what I understood that initial decisions were based on fiber, the data center or location. Now decisions is moved to the power. Wherever the power is available, you need to go and set up your data centers there. So coming back to follow-up questions on that the fiber to power, is there any change on the designing, because GPU consume 10x more power than the traditional compute. So what data center side, design sides, architect side change happened, and how you are facing those challenges or solving those challenges? Because what I believe that liquid comes into data center floor now, that that will I want to drive this discussion toward that so people can understand that this is getting more complicated from the operator side as well. It's not easy and everybody's learning. So on the design side, because you have OCP certified data center, you have AI ready data center certified from NVIDIA, and you both can also aid on top of it.
Maybe I can start, Narendra. Partly we're trying to build the plane while we're flying it. So that's how the entire change for AI is happening. Strictly speaking about liquid cooling, to be very honest, I think as a data center operator, I'm at the recipient's end, because there's a chip maker, then there is an OEM, then there is my client who works with the OEM to design how the equipment looks like. And between the three, they kind of decide what is the kind of cooling they want. We know as a trend we are inching towards liquid cooling, but like Sujit said, today when I'm at the drawing board, I don't know what to design for. So the challenge that we have is we don't know what's coming our way, and we are trying to, I wouldn't say shoot in the dark, but we are trying to take the most educated guess and the right judgment call. And I think the judgment call today is to have flexible designs. So most of us are designing data centers where you can have conventional cooling, direct connect liquid cooling, immersion liquid cooling. And in fact, we've seen some customer requirements where, to be very honest, the cooling is a mix of conventional air cooling, rear door heat exchanger, and DCLC. And if you put together 60% from one form of cooling, 40% from another form of cooling, and 40% from the third form of cooling. So effectively, you're provisioning for 1.4 times the overall cooling that is required for the equipment, but it is also a fail-safe mechanism. If one of the three forms of liquid cooling does not perform up to the mark at any given point in time. I think that's where we are headed. The challenges on the way is going to be, which is the standard technology, And because right now some of the technologies look proprietary, maybe during the day we get to know a little more about that. And what is the cost and what is the time? But everything is like Surjit said, is 24 months down the line. So will have to work with educated guests right now.
Besides the fundamental infrastructure point of view, even as a service provider, the expectations are to optimize on PUE, give us better contractual efficiencies. I'm pretty sure, since unless and until some of these infrastructure are actually deployed to a scale, it will be very early days to determine how exactly the whole contractual ecosystem work. Because it's easy to predict on an Excel sheet or do a simulation and kind of arrive at a particular thing which is a drawing board exercise. But in reality, in practice, people have not seen. So it's going to be, the question is going to be that how this is going to evolve. Today, all of us, or what we are just trying to address, is keeping our designs so flexible that when it comes, just like when the cloud came in, nobody was knowing exactly what kind of infrastructure the cloud requires. People are keeping themselves fully acquired and with the knowledge that how do you serve even the complexities which arise out of this type of hybrid cooling solutions or kind of thing. Because exactly what happens in a Hopper or a Blackwell, I think even though it is getting evolved, even for the US market and for everybody who is trying to develop capacities for that. Barring NVIDIA, the chip makers who have been kind of trying to educate, this is how the cooling works, but it is not been done at a mass scale. It is yet to be put into a kind of a very effective commercial usage. And that's where I think the hyperscalers are working towards, and that's where towards the service providers are working to get to understand, learn fast, be capable and ready so that they are able to serve to that.
Yeah, I think more or less we have in this agreement that it is the challenging environment, and the decision making around the design is really not with the data center operator. It is between the consumer, what they want, how they are doing it, and our support system here, how they are innovating. But obviously, we just need to be bringing uh, our intellect in the picture to say that, hey, how we are bringing the business sense probably there to say that, hey, how which way we need to go forward. And the biggest challenge probably we may end up creating is that, hey, we take a path together to something, and then it becomes thing that everyone has to follow them. So I would say that it's the challenging environment, and all of us are just trying to be as modular in our approach, as flexible, adaptable in our approach as possible. But let's see, I'm just being kind of a conservative here too.
Okay.
Keep watching it.
Okay. We are not
But in the
ready
meantime,
as-
continue to do things like that, those NVIDIA certifications, so be ready with what is coming.
Okay.
I think we have covered everything. I think most of them. I think my little bit of more addition to this is that since we are all now in the drawing board learning phase, I think if it would be good if global OEM partners also join us. There are partners today who have capability of deploying, let's say, liquid cooling as a technology. They also come in at the time of design. They're also equally active with end users. And collectively, as I said, and we all are echoing on that, we are learning as we're going. I think that we need to adopt so that we are able to see this.
Yeah.
And there's so much of learning while we grow, and that's constant thing needs to move around.
Great. So I think I can add
Another
some. Yeah.
Just important thing to add, and I'm pretty sure the largest OEMs in the room also can echo. It is imperative to bring in that manufacturing of these technologies into India. I'm pretty sure everyone is expanding, and it's imperative that should also be, you are making headways because this is coming, and it's very important that this is getting manufactured in India rather than it is required to be imported to be placed into our data center.
Yeah, and then I would add a dimension to that demand generally, the hyperscalers are generally the leader of the demand. They are the demand shaper, but there are growing hyperscalers within the country. And when those growing hyperscalers within the country come and demand solution from us, their expectation of price points or the expectation on that front is very different. So it is very important for every manufacturer, every OEM to create a good manufacturing lineup within India so that upcoming future hyperscalers from India could be taken care of from India at Indian cost with Indian prices.
Yeah, I think India has, I can add on some of the highlight which we are doing. We engage Corgan, if you heard about Corgan, one of the number one architect who built Meta's Singapore data centers, and they use direct-to-chip liquid cooling. So we are building in Indore. It's tier 2 city, and it's 100% focused to cater the AI demand, because neo hyperscale or neo AI cloud providers emerge. So earlier focus on big four, then there's an enterprise where we called it CSPs, AI hyperscalers. We started focusing them, and they don't have supply chain team. They don't have design team. They totally dependent on the operators. If operator can fulfill those demands, they are happy to go anywhere, wherever is the power available, and wherever you can serve them. It's a location agnostic demand. I called it AI side, and it can be anywhere, wherever the power is available. Because the latency, when you do the training, it's not a latency intensive workload. When you do inferencing, it is required latency. And given our country's, time zone, one time zone, less than 10 millisecond, 15 millisecond, we can reach 75% population of the country. So it makes a lot of sense to new location will emerge, and it is going to be more sustainable if they adopt AI. And customers are demanding. Many customers, new customers are enterprise and AI startups. And they are buying expensive chips, and then they want locations where they can put it. Now retrofit is one thing where you can put the retrofit and put 10 kilowatt of worth of one device, 4 device in one rack. And you have to put RDHX, like what Vipin mentioned, that the flexible PUE need to be offered by operator. And to offer a flexible PUE, you need to have all three components: air, the direct-to-chip, and the immersion. You have at least optionality to provide these customers. Else their workload will, or the data center will not be more sustainable. Now coming back to the point that is data centers now to serve the AI demand, they need to change from their traditional offering, which is the real estate plus management. Is managed services critical, and how we are dealing with that? Are you facing any enterprise customers asking more than the co-location space?
Of course. I think a full stack of the service, which is not just the data center co-location, but on top of it, IT infrastructure management, network management, managed services of all sides, it is still a flavor that a lot of customers expect. To multiple layers, if somebody is buying cloud as a service or GPU as a service, all the other services are included or inherently part of it. But when somebody is also looking at having a greater control over the outcome by choosing that what will go in the cloud, what will be going on-premise or a dedicated solution, that's where a full managed services stack becomes important. That offer them that the one full hybrid scope of work from one single source with the flexibility, elasticity. So yes, managed services is an important component, and then the managed services is unique for different industries, and therefore a customized industrial solution is also very important. Yeah, and obviously there are organizations like SIFI, which has the full stack of the services, is very much able to serve that kind of a market.
Yeah, I feel with the change which will happen from a traditional managed service is going towards more insights being demanded by the end customers with respect to the digitization platform, I mean, which each one of us has some or the other way being defined. But going forward with this kind of sensor heavy infrastructure coming in, the expectation from the service layer, from the operators, from those who are coming as our customers are going to be entirely different. The predictability, the reliability expectations are definitely going to change, and those insights we as a service provider are going to be the new generation of services which will be required to be offered to all these AI who are going to put in their infrastructure into the data center.
Question around the handling the AI workload versus are we using AI to handle the data center operations? Anyone, any use cases?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Yeah. Obviously, your operating data centers have more just than the kind of the people who are like us who are trying to build this for the first time as a startup. We call ourselves 100 megawatts, and that's how we love it to be called. Where we are typically looking for, I mean, operational challenges. Yes, this is, as a dynamics, this is going to change the way original traditional operations happening, where we used to put man to do more. I think this is going to change more towards control automation. Every device into every infrastructure today is capable of communicating. The kind of nuances of IT, OT are going to typically drive towards how we are ultimately make the infrastructure secure. So the expectation layer from the altogether, from operational expectancy and expectation in terms of what is to be delivered on a real-time basis and complete insights into that all gamut is going to change. And that's where the fundamental important thing is going to be, A, are we really getting ready towards that? And B, do we have skills and everything being available? But we are very sure India is a vast market. You have got the best of the engineers and best of the mathematicians who can derive the statistical linear regression models to able to tell you what insights they can create. I think I see a great times coming for all of us, and even from an operational perspective, this is going to be becoming more and more complex but interesting.
I think Sarat is only one among them who is right now part of a live setup. We're all in the build mode in various stages.
Should I take it on our live? Should I put something and then?
No. So my point was that to Sujit's point that from a traditional managed services about a decade back, what an organization like City must have gone through from the complete stack, I think now the AI will look very automated. We have a very known terminology in our platform called build to suit, and we love that phrase for whatever reason. Now everything possibly in an AI world will be as a service. Some of them are already existing. I think a lot more automation, a lot more customization need to build in. While we are learning, while we are developing, and I keep saying that, I think this is a constant job. And the traditional managed services platform moving to an automated managed services platform is now the journey. I think somebody who has deployed that traditional would move a little faster. People who are new are adopting it with the help of the OEM community and adopting. But everything looking very, very, very customized. When we today also, we ideally only build a core and shell. We don't know beyond that when to start, because what are we going to see? What kind of requirements are coming in at the floor level, at the infrastructure level? So that's where the industry is typically headed to.
So I will take this one. Okay. Sorry. So that AI journey, and I will just, because mine is the operational data center, I will talk about that. See, it's data coming together into an information. You use that data and information to create knowledge, and then you use lots of knowledge, apply the experience to create intelligence so that you could predict. This is the process of a general AI model. So in the data center, what we are able to see now actually in action is that it start collecting that data. you got so many sensors, you got so many data points there to collect, and then you are creating so many use cases because you are operating hundreds of megawatts of the data center on a day-to-day basis. Start collecting that data. And we have started doing that about a year ago. Now we are starting to make sense of that data, create knowledge around that data, and be able to say that, okay, with that knowledge, I need to take next action. So introduce some of those predictive maintenance that have been around for some time. And then now the next phase that we are trying to do, and my CTO, if he's here, Girish, he probably will talk about, and you can talk to him also when you get a chance, that next is make sense of this data. I start creating model around this data to be able to take those decisions that, hey, what we need to do tomorrow, what we should be able to do right now so that we prevent from tomorrow to happening. So absolutely right that there is a use case and it has to be applied in the data center environment to be able to serve our customers in much better way. So there is definitely a great AI use case, and the same AI use case when we apply with our technical minds together will be replicatable to every industrial environment. Every single industrial environment, and it will be definitely AI as a service on the platter in the making.
Maybe I feel the need to add something here. So completely agree with Sharat, and the data collection and making the use of the data, and at some point maybe the data also gets collated and used at industry level and not just at organization level. But let me also add one more dimension to it. When people talk about AI in operations, the expectation is also that a machine controls what is happening in the data center. As we move forward, there's going to be a tectonic shift between what is managed by man and what is managed by machine. That's how I structure that in my mind. And in a way, that will also help solve the problem of scarcity of talent as compared to scale of the operations that will happen. The issue in this process is that we as an industry, and I'm going ahead and talking on behalf of my colleagues out here, we are a little conservative when it comes to controlling the operations of the data center. Traditionally, we have always put men to validate what the machine is trying to do. We'll put 20 guards at 10 posts. We may even put a manual stoppage in case there is a fire alarm, just so a person can go and check if there indeed is a fire or not. So those kind of checks, I think, will move from what is managed by man today, slowly and steadily, to what is managed by machine. This by no means is a function of the available technology. The technology is available today. It is also a function of confidence that we get in doing so as we scale the operations, because obviously the manpower is also going to be of scarcity as we move forward. And when Surjit was saying that we build to suit. So in PDG, Surjit, we call it build to conviction. So that unless we have a conviction, I'm sure unless we have a conviction, we don't really build those. But fact of the matter is that even for the operations, we'll need to be flexible. We don't know what is coming our way. That's something that we need to be aware at every point in time.
Yeah, that's where it's actually growing. It's still evolving. That what kind of those AI agents you will apply in the data center operation.
I'm sure you'll test for long before applying that. Yeah.
Well, machines will operate the data center in future or robots?
In near future, I don't think so. Not at least in our data center.
Yes.
And not in India, but certainly the use cases will be built outside of India.
I don't think we are in that self-healing kind of in a data center. Got it.
The men, we love to be active also, right? So we have to ensure that it's not in place.
So last question, we have 2 minutes. So on sustainability, what are the initiatives you are running? Because AI is energy hungry, and at the same time we have to be very sustainable, adopting the clean energy. Or what are your views? What are you doing around that quickly in 1 minute?
Yeah.
Right.
So
everyone.
So on I think there are 2 or 3 fronts about the sustainability. One is, I would say the lowest hanging fruit is renewable energy. That making sure that as we operate as much on renewable energy as possible. But probably the more challenging and more, you say still evolving, is that how do we ultimately reduce carbon footprint from every single part of our operation, delivery, design, and everything. I would say probably Sujit will be more equipped to answer that second part.
From a data center standpoint, I'll say definitely contrary to that, we host servers, but we have to now, as a sustainability, start more thinking towards how do we put an e-gauzers and those kind of a system wherein this whole machine scrap, which will eventually get generated to a very extensive scale, is being handled effectively. That's one of the initiatives. Besides, I think every one of us are working on green power. The regulations today restrict you to go only up to certain limit. We are lobbying to make sure that can it be met to 100%, because these are the things. Besides that, I think the forestation and everything, all those initiatives have been taken by each one of us in some or the other way, going beyond selection of building materials, green buildings. These are all are kind of a given. But I think as AI tsunami is coming, we need to be ready for managing it on a much bigger scale. How do we ultimately scrap and the rest of machines and everything we gonna handle? Those are going to be becoming big time challenges.
Maybe again adding a structure to that thought process, Sujit. So it's actually across the entire life cycle of the DC, right from the board that Sujit was talking about. What do we do during design? The technology, the equipment, the operations. And like Sharad mentioned that the low-hanging fruit is actually renewable energy. To be honest, in India, we are doing way better in renewable energy as compared to some of our colleagues or some of the other countries and other markets that we come across. We can do better. That's the larger fruit. But at PDG, we pledged to go net zero by 2030 on scope 1 and scope 2. I'm sure most of the organizations in the industry have taken similar targets for themselves. When you do that, you start scratching the surface to look at every opportunity to try and reduce your carbon footprint. And it could include something as simple as, your travel footprint, or it's in scope 3, but, something of that sort as well. So those initiatives are taken all across. And the target is that in the coming years, we wipe off almost all the carbon footprint that we plan to produce or produce.
I think right now this sector is focusing on the renewable energy part. I think once that is little stable, the sustainability part will follow. I think we all, and as colleagues said, that it's a mandate. We need to work towards it. I think while structures are being, models are being created on renewable energy, I think sustainability will follow.
Okay, time's up. So thank you so much. I think it's insightful. I'll summarize in 1 minute. The AI market changed from fiber to power. It's latency agnostic. Its density is traditionally 10 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt and can go up to 200 kilowatt. It required a different cooling solution and mechanism to remove the heat from data centers. As operators, we have to give flexibility to customers. Customers are more demanding. They are asking more managed services. They are also asked you to buy the servers and give a complete package. Sustainability side, everybody is aware in India is like we are doing WE, CV and PV, all kind of optimization, whatever the possible in our way. Investment side, we left that question that it is required huge investment to serve the AI. I talked initially it is going to be 10 gigawatt means $5 million per megawatt or $6 million per megawatt or $60 billion of the capex is going into it in another decade. Imagine that the manufacturing of the chips should come to India. Also, Ministry of Information Technology has also given some aggressive PUE guideline for the GPU clusters, and which is good initiatives that is a challenging for existing general purpose compute data centers, but accelerated data center definitely can optimize through the various technology solution. Is there anything I missed?
I mean, there is huge, many more, but I think the time doesn't allow us, so maybe we can take it offline once anyway with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.